Hey, you guys. Here I am again. Let's see. Hopefully, this new, this new, uh, hopefully this new Zoom and new start will be better. That was quite the nasty sound. Couldn't really deal with that very well. So just waiting for Eugene to come back, but he is changing his camera too. So let's see. And I'm going to YouTube. Oh, I can play in the background. I could play his while I'm waiting. So pretty.
And
so just waiting for Eugene to come back on, and hopefully we can continue our hang. Let's see. Hopefully it'll be good. How is it?
Sounds great.
Okay. All right.
How about you? How are you doing? Is that working for you?
Yep, sounds fine now.
Okay. Now, I actually have a different computer and a different, so let's try that.
Oh, good. Okay, great. All right, let's see. Yep, great. When he gets back, can you play a song or two with Deja singing with Eugene for Jay? I don't know if he has such. Do you have something?
I didn't record it. It was on Tawny's phone.
Oh, maybe Deja has it, but yeah. Okay.
Deja probably has it. Deja and I might do an album together.
Nice.
Yeah, we're talking about it.
Fantastic.
Are we rolling?
We are rolling. I'm just
good. I have because we're talking about Deja, she's actually coming over tomorrow, and we're going to look at the space at the Vermont Jazz Center. We're probably going to have a memorial concert honoring Jay in May.
Okay, I didn't want to push Deja because I was sure that she was just getting her stuff together. But so you think in May? When in May?
Maybe the 4th.
Oh, early. That's good because I'm going to Japan on May 15th, and I really wanted to be there. But
you come all the way to the East Coast? Wow.
Absolutely. I'm from Boston.
Okay. Wow.
So I
nice.
usually come east, once a year usually. So yeah, so okay. Lots of stuff happening in May. I think I have a gig in May too. Shit.
Gig. You should have lots of gigs.
I have it on the 10th, but you said maybe the 4th? Is that what you said?
The 4th is the day that we have penned in, yeah. Penciled in.
That would be great because then I can come back and do my gig the following week. I'm writing
Cool.
that in. Possible tribute to Jay. Yeah. Oh, that would be good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to Japan for. I haven't. I've gone to Japan many many times since 1980 or 79, and I was supposed to go in 2020 in March.
Oh, okay. We
So
know it.
I was like, should I be going to Japan? And I haven't been back since, which is weird because I go every year. So um, I'm kind of whipping myself up, to travel alone for, like 3 to 4 weeks, and
Mm,
it's fine. I mean, I've gone so much; it's kind of like my second home, so it's
nice.
fine. There's so many people to take care of me, and
Wow. I've always wanted to go to Japan. That's one of my bucket list places.
Oh, you'd love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The art, the art and music area and communities are, and what that means to the just the real organic person there is very deep, very beautiful. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, Japan to me is like another planet. It's similar to us, but it's really different. And, you know, um, I mean, Japan is, you know, group of islands. That's how they came up, their own universes and their own way of being. And so um, it's not surprising that they have these hierarchies and, that ended up the way they ended up. Like the business, the business people are, like the big business people, they're kind of, they can be very kind of abrasive to the soul, you know.
Mm.
But the
And
artist,
when you go there, do you go there to perform?
yeah, sing and teach.
Oh,
Hmm.
nice.
Yeah, yeah, I love teaching there too. I just love teaching there. The people, no matter what their level is, they're vulnerable,
Hmm.
and it's really great to communicate with them and acknowledge them, because there's really so many who are so good.
Hmm.
They have this kind of natural feeling for it, and they've grown up listening to jazz. I mean, literally, you walk into through the streets and into the subway stations, and not just jazz is playing over the loudspeaker. Charlie Parker is playing over the loudspeaker. It's so. I mean, that's how they grew up. With that just kind of like we have Muzak. They have
Yeah.
Charlie Parker. You know,
Yeah, well, I just finished reading the biography of Sonny Rollins, and it talks about his trips to Japan and how he's treated like, a god, and was so elegantly and so well received and just really honored. And so that's one of the things about that culture that I understand is that they honor the people that they revere and they do it beautifully.
yeah,
So it must be nice to go as a teacher too, to have, that's the thing is that I don't really want to go as a tourist. I'd much rather go as a musician, go for a gig or something like that. And that
well,
way.
as I tell people, I think a great idea is to go. Doesn't matter if you have a gig lined up. Go as a tourist, but get all the connections you can to the musicians there, and play and meet people and sit in, and then you will have gigs. You know, for the future because they're very interested and loyal. So once they know you and know they have a connection. They're very loyal with that, you know.
Hmm. Well, maybe I'll take you up on that.
You can ask me for connections. I'll be glad to share.
Yeah, there's a few people who keep coming back to our summer workshop too from Japan, and
Oh, yeah.
love them. They're such good people.
There's one girl, I- you probably know names, right?
Yuko, Etsuko, I don't remember their last names, but it's
Well, there's Amane Sayo, because she actually came for the Jay and the Sheila workshops.
Mhm.
You would know her face. Let me see if I can show this. Let's see. How am I going to show you? I'll share the screen, and then here she is with Jay. I mean Sheila. See her right here?
Yeah, she doesn't look familiar.
Yeah. So but she went there.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Well, some other time, but I do want to go. I love the food.
Me too, man. I'm crazy about the food. There's this one thing that drives me absolutely crazy. I would eat it every single day for breakfast or whatever. It's what is it called? It's called okonomiyaki,
Mm.
and it's kind of almost like a burrito, but they pour it on the grill. You know this. They make the um, what would be compared to a burrito. They make that. They pour it on the grill, and then they put different things in it. Could be meat, could be fish,
Mhm.
definitely cabbage, and then there's a special sauce.
Mhm.
And when you get it, it's just like it's so good. It's so good, man. Okonomiyaki, not achi. And they have the places around. They probably have it, in Boston or something, but they have it in LA too. But it's just doesn't quite taste the same. As usual, right? Wherever you go, that's the same story. Um, so, your piano playing, do you play other instruments or piano is your main
No,
instrument?
I mean, I play a little bass in ensembles when the bass player doesn't show up, and that's about it. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So your piano, were you always interested in jazz from the beginning, or were you a rock player too, or classical?
Yeah, as most people in my socioeconomic circle, our parents set us up with piano lessons, and and I loved it. I was good at it instantly, and it was like, oh, this is fun because I was, having this positive feedback reward system.
Where are you from?
I'm from New York.
Okay.
And so I was very fortunate that age 6 or 7, my parents started me playing, classical music with, Mr. Leuchman, and I took to it and really enjoyed it. And then after a while, my teacher realized that I was just memorizing everything that he had played and just playing it back for him rather than reading the notes on the page. And that became discouraging because I didn't like to read the music. And so that led me to, at 4th grade, I had a teacher who instructed me in the blues,
Oh.
and Mr. Nurmi. And he realized that my proclivity was more for chords and improvising than for reading. And so I got on that path and continued there. Although I wish that I had continued to focus more on reading at that age because it's a language, and the better you get at that age, the better you are as an adult. And so I'm still a slow reader. Of course, I have to read as part of my work. In fact, I'm doing this huge big band concert coming up at Amherst College coming up, and there's a tremendous amount of reading, but it takes me longer than I wish it would to get it all together,
Yeah.
But and then when I was in forestry, when I had this gig as a forester, I also played in jazz bands and a big band. But I had a great rock band that I played with in Central Vermont. We were like the biggest, thing, and it was called Dr. Burma, and we played a lot. And in fact, we opened up for BB King. It was a serious band, and we had, the guitar player who ran the thing was he's amazing, and we had great singer. It was a really good band.
Yeah.
And I love playing that kind of music. I grew up with it. It makes people dance. Isn't it fun to play and watch people like getting off on what you're doing and to see them moving in relationship to the sound that you're creating? I
Yeah.
love that kind of interaction. And then when I was in my late 20s, this guy from New York came who was the head of the jazz program at Queens College. His name is Howard Browski, and he heard me playing. He's like, "Damn, you might want to come to New York." And I'm like, "Okay." Well, actually, no, it took a couple of years because I was still doing my forestry work and everything. And then I had an opportunity to go, and I went to New York to study with him. He was the head of the jazz program at Queens College, and he said, "You don't need an interview, just come on in." And I got to study with Jimmy Heath and Donald Byrd and Sir Roland Hanna. It was pretty serious. And then after that, I got into music full time.
Yeah. 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 I have a friend here whose alma mater was Queens College.
Yeah,
I think
it's a
Suzanne
good
Pitt,
program.
I think Suzanne Pitson taught there too, and instigated new programs for vocalists. Um, I think it was Queens, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, that's cool.
But
Roland played.
Sheila taught there too, She,
Oh,
they had, adjunct faculty. You could choose pretty much whoever you wanted. But they had certain people that they recommended, and Sheila was one of them. And so people would go to her apartment in New York City and work with her.
I've been there. I've stayed there.
Yeah.
Showered in that shower. Uh,
Uh, Sheila, man, she's really upset by, of course, as you would imagine, Jay's passing.
yeah,
Was her best friend.
yeah. They were roommates actually in that apartment for a
That
long
apartment.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing. Well, I was there last time I was in New York was, let's see, it must have been, gosh, could have been 2015, I guess, and stayed there with Jay. And Sheila was just passing through on her way
Yeah,
somewhere.
like always.
Yeah, like grab a suitcase and you know, the woman's over 90 and she she just and nobody was really particularly helping her. She was just,
Yeah.
she's amazing, Sheila.
How did you get to know Jay and Sheila?
um, you know, Jay and I tried to think of how we met, and I really don't know. I've always been closer with Jay, and like Jay's kind of like my sister, feel that kind of feeling. We
Yeah.
both taught at the summer camp that Janice Borla was having in Chicago for many years. We taught there together. And that was about 13 years ago. And but we knew each other before that. So I don't really know, but yeah, I don't know. And maybe I met Sheila through Jay.
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly. Yeah. But one time I created a workshop for Jay and Rhiannon. Are you familiar with Rhiannon?
Oh yeah, she did a workshop here and I accompanied her.
Oh,
She's special.
very special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a like she comes in like a whirlwind. My God.
Yeah. And for those
You've
of
worked with her too.
yeah, for those of you listening, we're not talking about the pop star Rhiannon. We're talking about the jazz improvisationary person who has worked with Bobby McFerrin for years, and she has her own planetary organization that she travels all over and brings people into improvisation. And yeah, she's really good. As a matter of fact. She came here once, had to be about 15 years ago, and she had a workshop, and there were about 20 of us there, I think. And out of that, about eight of us formed an improvisational vocal group, a cappella,
Mm. Oh,
called Fish
cool.
to Birds.
Called
Yeah,
what?
Fish to Birds.
Hmm.
Kind of like the the drawing of
Escher. Mm.
Escher, right? And so and for about 8 years we were pretty active. It's six or seven of us, and yeah, it was really great. But it was stemmed out of the Rhiannon, workshop, and yeah, it was great. And there seems to be a big push. I don't know if you get much of this, but I've noticed that there's a big push for circle singing, you know, vocal improvisation, but circle singing in particular. Have you noticed that?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Oh, really? All over the world, by the way, in Latin America as well. Um, yeah, there's a Brazilian artist who does like, he literally has hundreds of people come and do it in a park. Um,
Hmm.
Challenging because you're leading people. You're giving them something to sing, kind of like what Bobby McFerrin does sometimes, right?
Mm.
He'll
Yeah.
give a line to the audience comes back with it. So kind of like that. But yeah, so but yeah, Rhiannon is very special, and um she has really interesting programs that cover the planet. Very nice.
And she teaches in Hawaii, I believe. She has a
She lives
camp
there.
there.
Yeah, she lives there, and she has a time period that you can come. I've almost gone sometimes. I would like to. I think, boy, that would be really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, also, I was going to ask you, it sounds like your wife might be a Latina.
Yeah, she's from Colombia.
And so you obviously have a relationship with Colombia. Did you go there to meet her? Did you meet her in New York or something and then go back there?
Yeah, well, you got it. When I was at graduate school in at Queens College, she and I were living in the same apartment building, and we met that way. And it was very fortunate. And so we fell in love, and then I went and followed her to Columbia, and she set me up with work. The moment I got there, I was working. It was really cool. And I was teaching composition and theory and improv, and what they were so thirsty for information for jazz improv. This was like in the early 90s, and it was a marvelous experience. This was before we got married, that I started, and every time I went back, it was like it was really easy to set up classes. and I would all get lots of students. And so that was the thing that ended up. Then we came back here and got married, and then we went and had when she was pregnant, we decided to move there and have our kids there. So we lived there for 3 years at that point, and then moved back to Vermont and started the Jazz Center at that time. So I've lived in Columbia a total of 5 years, yeah, and have really good connections there. I love it. It's a great place, and it gets a bad rap that's undeserved. So I think things have changed lately.
Because
Well, the idea of like Escobar and the drug wars and the cartels, but and people kind of consider that the identity of the whole country, whereas it's just this like infinitesimal like group of people who are doing that kind of work, and most of the people are just loving and creative and smart and ambitious and just such uh, the creativity is off the charts, and the industriousness of the people, and I just love it there. Yeah, so I spent a lot of
where were you living in Colombia, my friend wants to know?
in Medellin. And actually, we when we go there, yeah, Medellin. I've got a tour coming up in September. I'll be playing in Medellin, no, in Bogota, Barranquilla, and Santa Marta in September with a really wonderful group, including Cameron Brown on bass and Brian Shankar Adler. We're going to do a tour of 3 cities or 3 towns.
Great. Sounds like your accent is beautiful. Do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, I had to. It's sink or swim, right?
Yeah, yeah. Did you learn it while you were there, or did you know it before?
I did not know it beforehand. I had to learn it because I had I love this person. She's still one of my closest friends, Pilar Botero. She was my translator, but every time when I first got there, she would be my translator to teach. And she's a musician. She's a wonderful singer. And I would say maybe 3 or 4 sentences. And then she'd go on for like 5 minutes. I'm like, hello. And
Translate
so
like
I
that.
knew I needed to learn the language very quickly. And within a month, I was actually teaching in Spanish.
Wow.
I mean, I just learned like the basics, and
Yeah.
then over time, I've gotten better at it. But
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is vocabulary, right?
yeah, and it's idiomatic vocabulary because you're talking about music, so it's about the same thing over and over again. And it's a very limited vocabulary for music.
Oh. My friend was born in Manizales.
Manizales, of course. Yeah, a beautiful town, heart of coffee country.
Ah. What's Roland? Who was she related? Who? She related to the sculptor Botero? I don't know who he's
Oh,
talking.
no, 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 no. My
Oh,
friend who was my translator, her name is the same last name as the sculptor Botero, but she's not related to him. Her
ah,
name is Pilar Botero, and she's a singer from Medellin.
okay.
And we had a lot of gigs together when I was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In fact, when I was in Colombia, I was working constantly. It was really easy to get gigs as a gringo jazz player. They were like, "Oh, wow." And very fortunately, there was this wonderful saxophone player from Cuba who had just defected to Medellin at the same time as me. His name was Carlos Averhoff, who played with Ira Carey. And so we got together, and it was like a match made in heaven. And we played together for a year and a half before I moved back to the States. And it was really fun. And he, of course, had this wonderful reputation because he was from Cuba and was in one of the foremost, you know, Cuban timba bands with Chucho Valdez. I
Oh,
mean, big deal.
yeah.
And he got, I mean, it was really fun to play with him. And he passed away about 8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Um, yeah, it's such a rich heritage and definitely rich musically. It's really beautiful. We see a lot more of the Latin influence coming into jazz in LA.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
kinds of Latin, of course Brazilian, but Latin too. It's really quite beautiful. One of my favorite piano players here is Otmaro Ruiz, who's from Venezuela. He's
Uh-huh.
friggin' he's brilliant.
Mm.
Brilliant. And you know, in every way, he's sensitive, musical, his compositions are great. His playing is, when you're in the audience, you're just going, what? Oh,
How did he
oh.
do that? Right?
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Um,
Um, and he's a great person. And yeah, and speaking of piano playing, um, what do you think is do you still find, I mean, of course we all work on our own growths and challenges all the time. We never end up in one spot where we go, okay, that's it. But are you working on a certain area of your playing right now that is that you find interesting and challenging?
hmm. I like that question. Nobody ever asks that anymore. Um, it depends on what kind of gigs I have coming up, you
Yeah.
know? Like there's if there's time, I I do what I work on with my students. I have what I call the three pillars or the three-legged stool, where we've got, in order to have some stability, you have to have the three legs, right? And so those legs are chords, scales, and tunes, right? And
Mhm.
so you have to have all three of those really strong in order to have some kind of jazz confidence: chords, scales, and tunes. So that's what I work on with all my students, and we can separate. Like if I go into the lesson and I'm like, oh, okay, let's focus on your chords. Okay, what are you learning in that area? Okay, what are you learning in scales? Okay, what tunes are you applying that to? So even though that's a really basic construct, it's the way that I also, when I'm working to develop my skill set, I still do that same kind of thing. I'll work on certain tunes. I'll say, okay, what kind of things am I going to do to develop my harmonic sensibility, and what kind of scales can I work on that might contribute to that harmonic sensibility. So I try to do them all within one, so that they all feed off of each other. So that's when I have time.
Yeah.
And how often do I have time? Not very.
Yeah.
So what I am doing now, I have a couple of gigs coming up that are important, because I formed this trio with Brian, Shankar Adler, and Cameron Brown, and we've got this big gig in September in Colombia. I was able to get another couple of gigs, and I'm like working on music that I've composed that I never had memorized, so that I can have a new. I've got this large repertoire of music that I've composed, but it's not all memorized. So I've been working really hard on memorizing my own music, and then I'm also working on, like I said, I've got this big band gig coming up in the middle of February, and the music is just so demanding. There's 9 charts, and they're all just like all these crunchy chords that are, they're not just like chord charts that are written out D flat major seven. It's like, okay, D flat major seven with all these weird notes written in. There's a lot of clusters. So I'm just spending a lot of time trying to make sure I get that. And then there's a lot of odd meters. And then this other friend of mine named Julian Gersten, he has a wonderful band that it's a sextet that is based on rhythms from around the globe. and it's world music, but really high level. And I'm on a bunch of his albums called the Julian Gersten Sextet. I'm really pleased with the way that that's gone. But we're recording an album in early March, so I'm working on his stuff. So right now I'm working mostly on the tunes part of that because I don't really have the time to develop my chords and scales at this point. But there's other times when I do that, and I might focus, for example, on getting deeper into Barry Harris's, sixth diminished stuff that he does, or fourth voicings or different kinds of things. I'm always trying to like develop ideas that I've started and have gotten to a good level, and then now I want to build on those.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I when you're learning this stuff, memorizing or getting familiar with the big band crunchy chords, do you tend to sit with the chords, sit with, let's say there's a passage, like I'm going over a Ginga song. I went to Brazil camp last year in California, and Ginga was one of the teachers. And it wasn't really like a class, it was more like a hang every day for like 4 hours or something, every day. And so you really hear this Ginga music, which is, Brazilian. What can I say? It's just
I
like,
don't know it, so.
oh, yeah, but it's just, the Brazilian music can be so heavy duty. It's just
Oh
the,
yeah.
you know, and so some of this, like this one song that he did teach us that we all performed together, but now I'm here alone and I want to sing it. It is not an easy song. It's
Hi.
it's definitely like, you know, tension notes, and so I'm going over these. I'm going over the whole song line by line, and making sure I get the first line over and over, live with it. Second line, then put it all together, and then the problem areas. Really try and soak that in and love it. I
Right.
don't. Do you operate kind of similarly in that way?
Well, let's take your example of like, let's take the most difficult of all these big band tunes. It's a piece by a guy named Jeff Holmes, who's freaking genius, right? And he plays piano and trumpet, and he's one of the teachers at University of Massachusetts. And he anyway, he wrote this piece with all these odd metered sections, and they bump up against each other, and they're switching from 3 to 5, and I mean it's all mixed up. And meanwhile, you're reading these chord clusters. So what I do is I break it down into palatable sections. So I say, okay, I can really get this, like let's say 8 bars, or, although for him they're odd measures, I mean odd numbers of measures too. But I would take a certain section that makes sense to me that I can kind of get in my ear, and then I try to play that enough times that I can like hear the phrasing of it. I listen to a recording that I have of it, and I work with that. And if there are some sections that I can't play up to tempo, I use a metronome. And even if it's in odd meters, I'll just set the metronome without like a starting beat and just on one tone, and really get it so that I can play it in tempo at a very slow tempo, and then keep working that up and getting it in my ear as well as um, in my hands. And there's a blessing in that we are given the muscle memory and the hearing memory. Even though I'm over 60, I still am able to retain these things in my body. And so I know my learning style, and I know that over time, that if I do this every day, just for a little bit, even, that it'll start to become part of my world. And so I just welcome that, and I don't get mad at myself if I can't learn it the first time, and I just go really slowly through it. And then when I get that phrase, I might work on a couple of phrases at the same time, but I understand that that by blocking them into those phrases, that eventually that will become a unit that I understand and can play without having to worry about it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you mentioned you were on Julian's.
Oh, Julian Gerstin, Gerstin.
Something that we could listen to a little, or
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Let's see which one. Second album. I gotta look it up because I'm not sure. I've got my phone here. Isn't that funny how we like are relying on our phones now? Come on, where are we?
sex,
Uh,
sure.
yeah, but I'll tell you a tune that you can listen to by going on to the onerous Spotify.
Well, Get Along is up here.
Yeah, that's okay. Hold on. I
We
think I
do
got
some
one that I'd
videos.
rather.
Rosemary and the Taxi Driver.
No, I don't like that one. Sorry. Oops, sorry, Julian, if you're listening.
Well, you prefer other ones.
Yeah, no, but I've got them here. Okay. Um, Hold on. Let's look at this.
Should I go to Spotify rather than YouTube?
No, either they're both good.
The one who makes you happy.
That's okay. Go to Puan La Jan Lan.
Okay, how do you spell that?
Pwan.
Is there more?
Oh, LAJAN hyphen LAN.
Okay, I have a record. Yeah.
Did
Uh,
you? It's on an album that it's called The Old City is the name of the album.
yeah. Okay, I do have that record, so I'll go to that one.
Yeah, Julian. Share audio. Hmm.
What does Julian play?
He's the percussionist and the composer.
Oh,
So that instrument that he was playing is called tambubele, which is a big barrel that you sit on. He lived in Martinique for a while, and so he learned how to play a bunch of the Martinican rhythms, and that is a Martinican rhythm. And I think it's called bele. And so he writes tunes based on the rhythms that he learned when he was in Martinique, but he also writes tunes based on other rhythms and a lot of really cool odd metered stuff as well that I like. And the band, we've been together for 10 years, so there's a lot of listening going on. It's nice to play with the same people over and over again, and then you develop a repertoire. That tune, for example, is just a blues, but it's like it's fun, and it's we often like open or end a set with that tune just because it's just one of these fun, easy kinds of things to play on that's got a lot of energy.
yeah, it's a really nice song. Yeah, great playing. Yeah, and 7 minutes went by really fast. It was 7 minutes long, so sometimes I'll kind of slide out a little because it seems long, but that actually didn't seem so long. It was really good.
Good.
Yeah. I have a friend here, Taylor Hatch, who is a guitarist at University of North Texas. Anyway, he always has some great questions. He has a bunch. So, but I'm gonna kind of squish them into one question. And I
It's
think,
nice that people are online. I'm impressed.
yeah, yeah. Well, you are. I mean, it's been a long road, but you're number 566. So I do have some followers, some loyal followers.
Wow. Way to
Um,
go.
yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here and giving me your time. Um, well, what's one uh, what's one record? I'm kind of taking his questions, but what's one record that you think more people should listen to?
That's a good question.
Taylor, sorry, I really shrunk your questions into that one.
Well, you could ask me both or whatever, and I can kind of
I mean,
decide.
he asks, what do you think is the most underrated record? And
Mm.
but which is you know definitely slightly different than my question. But anyway, it's along the same line.
Yeah. Well, I I don't know the answer to the most underrated record, but I would say that a record that I would encourage people to listen to that is not often like it's not considered one of his major records is Speak Like a Child by Herbie Hancock. I don't know. Are you familiar with that, Kathy?
That's an amazing record. What did it?
Yes.
There's some kind of interesting statistic about that. Uh, what is it? It's like he is he the only soloist on it, or what?
That's right. It's almost like a concerto for Herbie, right?
Yeah.
And that's right. You know the album. And the horn writing with it includes flute and trumpet, and I think there might be what else is there's a third horn in there. It's like either trombone or French horn or something like that. No, it's not French horn on that one. But anyway, it's just such a beautifully written album, and the piano solos so are all framed by, like you said, these beautiful melodies that are played exquisitely. And then there's this solo that just blows my mind because it's just that time period of Herbie Hancock is so elegant and thoughtful, and it's just it's that's a desert island album that I would recommend people listen to.
That's cool. Yeah. Okay. That's a really great answer, isn't it, Taylor? I love it. Yeah, there was, I mean, listening to Wayne Shorter's documentary. What's that? The super gorgeous record that he made. Um, it was like one of the first big records, I think, after he was with Miles, or um,
Oh, that with Miles or his own under his own name?
I'm not sure if it was with Miles or under his own name. But it was.
The one with Herbie or with McCoy? Because there was two of them that I get
I think
mixed
it's
up.
Herbie.
Damn, I'm not remembering that. I shouldn't remember that. That should be definitely on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
Uh,
I forget.
two-
Well, I can quickly look that up actually.
Sure, sure, go for it.
Wayne Shorter albums,
Yeah, but if I saw the cover, I would get it in a
Speak no
heartbeat,
evil.
right?
Speak No Evil.
Okay, you got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
it's great.
I think that has Herbie on it.
So much to listen to and not enough time, right? Oh my God.
Yeah, but also it's like, can we listen, closely to it? And after we've been practicing for a couple hours or whatever, sometimes I just don't want to be listening to music too. That's like, and as I get older, I don't want to listen to music as much. It's interesting. I need my space.
I went to hear a classical concert the other day, which is not my normal MO. And but a man named Eric Whitaker has been on my scope for a while because he, over the pandemic, it might have been before too. He literally used people from all over the world online to join in this choral piece. So
Hmm.
just came on my scope, and so he's related to a group here called Solistina, and I'm not sure if they're. I think they're a group of classical musicians that form different size groups. This particular group, check this out. So it was a string quartet for the most part, and they held the concert in a mausoleum,
Hmm.
an old mausoleum in an area called Altadena, and it was really beautiful sound.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah, I can imagine it was very reverberant.
yeah.
What was the instrumentation?
Well, it was two violins, a viola, and a cello with an occasional piano.
Hmm.
And Eric, at the end, Eric it previewed a five-part piece that was beautiful. And I actually did that evening kind of wanted to shut down a little early. And so I laid down in my bed and I recorded just for myself. I like to do that. And I listened, and it was just
Oh,
absolutely.
nice. So you got to hear it a second time because a lot of times the first time we just miss so much, right?
No, right? I know. I mean, whatever. I'm kind of bad about that, but I do like to. Speaking of practice and all that, I make sure that I practice technique every day because the voice is a very weird instrument,
Yeah, I know.
part of the body, and sorry, you got to have the body, you got to have it working, and
Yeah,
so you really have to check out everything, and so I do that every day if I if
good for you. Yeah.
and
I
then
had a polyp on my larynx that had to be removed, so I know exactly what you're talking about. That when it goes, it can be very serious.
yes, yes, and it's a weird instrument.
Mm,
The feelings and the knowledge of where it's working is very subtle and subjective, extremely
mhm,
subjective. I mean, just the concept of air support, the word support, that means so many wrong things to people. And
mm.
In fact, I was telling a student the other day, I came up with an idea for this particular student. You know how you each student kind of elicits a different piece of information, how you present it, right? And I said it's not like this, underneath support, it's almost like an emotional support. It's like
Mm.
here, here, there's air, here, it's that kind of subtle, and it's an interesting thing. But I forget why I even went into that. Why did I go into that?
Uh, I don't know, but it was important.
Listening and practicing. So yeah, I bought the Michael Brecker scale book because I've always been in love with Michael Brecker. And so, you know, I sit down and just go over those scales, so they become comfortable inside.
Yeah,
And
right, right. You're talking about that one with the minor third and a half step. The
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I want to learn more and more, but there's time, and then I have to put my books together, and lately I've been collecting all my compositions and putting them into OneDrive on one file so that if somebody wants to check out my compositions, they can actually go to one
Oh,
place.
that's nice. And so they have access to your original music.
Yeah, yeah,
And you do that for free?
I guess so.
No, it's okay. I should do that actually. I
I
want people to play my music.
Sure. I haven't moved into promoting it yet, really, like that spot. I'm just gathering everything and making sure I have the charts. And if I have any recordings, I'm putting those in there too. Um,
Mm.
and and then at some point, I mean, I did at one point. I had a little song book that I put out. But yeah, I don't know yet how I'm going to promote that, but whatever. Maybe I'll just put it on my website. I don't know.
I think I might have even sent it to you, but that piece Wheel of Time has a nice lyric that
Yeah.
um
I don't think you sent it to me. You mentioned that it had a lyric.
but I can send it to you right now. It's really easy to Oh, it's on the other computer.
Well, send that to me. I'll remind you to.
Yeah, but that way you could like make it available to the people who are watching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then I really gotta go. I've got a meeting in town
Okay.
that to go to. But wait, I'm gonna send you that right now. Wheel of Time with lyrics. And the lyrics are by a, a team of poets that I love, Veranda Porch and Patty Carpenter.
Cool.
Yeah, let me see. And when
Joyce Joyce says, when will you go to sing at Eugene's Vermont Center, Kathy? That would be great. Someday
well,
I
maybe you'll come for the
contribute.
J tribute.
Actually, on February 21st, which is a Wednesday, there's going to be a small group of singers like Judy Niemak and me and um, Terry Roger and
Oh, I know Terry.
Andrea Walper, and we're gonna sing a few songs online for a tribute to Jay.
Oh, wow.
And actually, in the way of Jay, my friend Mon David, who is a wonderful singer, and in my group Fish to Birds, he and I first I was looking for players, my favorite players, and I couldn't find anybody to play. I wanted somebody to kind of be improvisational, and anyway, I decided to just get me and Mon. So we're actually going to sing a few songs together without
Uh,
anybody else. So that'll be great.
my computer's acting really funny since we did that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I went onto the other computer, but this one's just like super slow all of a sudden. It's like come on, where's that tune?
Well, I can tell people to go to your site or send you an email or
Yeah, sure. Boy,
Yeah,
this is really
'cause I
weird.
don't want to hang you
Oh,
up.
here it is. Here it is. Got it. And I'll just forward it to you right now.
Cool.
Cathy. And Segal-Garcia, right?
That is correct.
Where's the Garcia from?
That was my first husband. I was with him 17 years. And
That's a commitment.
yeah, that was here in LA. And
Uh,
I was young. I was 25 when I met him, and I was going to move to New York. I had moved from Boston to San Francisco and then here. Then I was going to go to New York, but I met him. I
and you stayed.
stayed. Then I divorced him, and 40 years later, I met Gary Hoffman. But Cathy Segal-Garcia Hoffman is a lot of names.
Yeah, I get that. Well, I just sent it, so if you want to post that so that people can like in the chat. Oh, I could have put it. Well, no, I can't put it in the chat because I don't have I'm doing it on another computer.
That's okay. I got it, and yeah, I am going to save it, and then I'm going to put it in there, here, and then I'm going to post it for people.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Eugene, and
It's a pleasure. Thank you. It's like nobody ever like this is like such a leisurely interview. Usually, they go by in 15, 20 minutes and it's like boom, boom, boom. And this is like, oh, let's hang out and talk. And I'm really enjoying it. So thank you.
Thank you, and I will look forward to seeing you. I'm so glad you told me about the J thing, and yeah, sorry, I'm just putting Wheel of Time in there, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna try and put Wheel of Time there. It's not going over. Okay, I'll keep trying. Anyway, people really liked it.
So
And
were there were really people listening? It's like it seems so strange to me.
people were listening.
But, hi, people. Thank you. Oh, you know what? I should promote the Jazz Center that we do live streams for all of our concerts so that people can watch them and they're free.
Yeah.
Every time we do a concert, we just had Camille Thurman. She was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the next one coming up is on a Sunday afternoon. It's Micaiah McCraven, and that's on Sunday, the 18th of February at 4 p.m. And then after that, we have Mike Stern coming up. And then after that, we have our solo piano festival with Jackie Terrison and
Wow.
yeah, and
What?
and Duduzo Macatini.
Oh,
And,
I interviewed Naduzo.
oh, I love that guy. So
Excuse-
anyway, that's coming up on the 20th and 21st of April, and then we've got Artemis in May, and then my concerts in June, and then we'll also have the thing for Jay coming up in May.
And where do people go to find it?
www.vtjazz.org. VT, like the state of Vermont, vtjazz.org.
Got it. Okay, I'm writing
Well,
it
I
in.
look forward to meeting you in person sometime, Cathy. Thank you so much for setting this up, and to be continued.
Okay, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. By the way, next week I will be interviewing two people. Simon Mulligan, who's a brilliant classical pianist, and Kevin Hayes, who is an award-winning jazz pianist, and he'll be at Sam First on February 8th. So next week, Monday and Tuesday, I'll be interviewing somebody. Okay? Have a great moment in time.